All right, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and we get positive news from the initial test done for Jayden Daniels' rib injury. We're going to do a deep dive into that and what's going on with that situation, and do we think he'll play against the Bears? Also, we have injury updates for the entire Washington Commander team on top of that, because we have a couple of other players that got hurt, but we're going to go in like chronological order of this whole Jayden Daniels injury situation and where we are now. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Of course, I'm going to be hitting y'all with constant uploads, like 2 or 3 a day all week leading up to the Bears game. I will be live streaming that Bears game, and I'm also going to keep y'all updated on the Jayden Daniels injury until there are no updates left. If we come back later on this evening and they say he's good to go, we're done with that. So I'm going to keep y'all updated. I really appreciate all of y'all for pulling up to these videos and supporting. Let's go ahead and dive into this video. Let's get it. Adam. And like I said before the intro, we're going to do these in chronological order as far as Jayden Daniels' injury goes. So, I mean, first off, Jayden Daniels hurt himself after the long run. At least that's what it really seems like. When you go back and really look at the tape, it really seems like the long run that he had was the reason that he ended up getting hurt. He ended up getting tackled backwards in a really weird, awkward way. And initially, I feared that it may be a leg injury. That was my concern while he was getting tackled. And then later on, you know, we started to see a couple of plays later that he was a little banged up. He was holding his stomach and things like that. But I was just happy to know that it wasn't some type of leg injury like an ACL or anything like that. That was my biggest concern. I feel like we got lucky with him ending up with some sort of a rib injury, even if it is a bad one, which it doesn't seem like. Again, I'm gonna give you Jordan Schultz update soon, but it did look like it came from that long run, because it seemed like a couple of plays after that they kept like trying to see if he would be good to go, and then they kept him in the game, and then like before any Panthers player could even make any relative contact with him, any small contact with him, he would just go to the ground to make sure he doesn't take a big hit. And then you would see him like his face in his helmet like wincing from like the pain and things like that. He was talking to the trainers on the sideline and everything like that. He really wanted to go back into that game. And then at a certain point, Daniels headed to the locker room. Of course, all of us fans were panicking. And then after he went to the locker room, just a few minutes later, it felt like a really long few minutes, I ain't gonna lie, because he went to the locker room about like 4:35 p.m. His mom texted at 5:06 p.m. he's fine. Again, that came directly from Jayden Daniels' mom, and Adam Peters has history of texting players' parents and letting them know that your son is fine, he should be good to go. Now, of course, that's not like an official injury update or anything like that. I mean, that could just simply be, you don't have to worry about him life-wise or anything like that. This is nothing that concerns you as far as how good he will be for like the rest of his life, but this doesn't necessarily indicate that he will not miss the game against the Bears. That's not what that exactly says at all, but at least Jayden Daniels, we know for sure, is good to go. He's fine as far as living goes, so I'm happy about that. We'll see if the actual update that comes out later on this evening reveals that Jayden Daniels' mom tweet about he's fine was actually a true diagnosis of where he is, as far as, retrospective with what's going on with this Bears game, this Bears matchup coming up soon. And then Jayden Daniels came back out around like 5:40, and he was in street clothes. He was smiling. He was walking around. He was chilling. I mean, it's crazy too, because he went from, you saw like clips of him on the sideline trying to see if he could practice throwing, and it was just so much pain. He was like, man, I can't even do it. I'm trying to throw, and then whatever that motion is of throwing is absolutely killing my rib section, my stomach, whatever it is, his chest, and then to come back out in street clothes, smiling, laughing and everything, walking around, not even with like any type of limp or anything, like, this hurts. Like, he's just chilling. He looks like he never even got hurt. And then Jeremy Fowler let us know at 5:30 that when he was asked about Jayden Daniels' rib x-ray, he said, quote, he's good, unquote. So from whatever source that Jeremy Fowler talked to still during the game, apparently he was good to go. Then after the game, Jayden Daniels was smiling and signing autographs. This is from Scott Abraham right here. And I even noticed, and I brought this to everybody's attention during my live stream, that I'm like, as soon as the game ended, I was like, I'm going to watch what Jayden Daniels does after the game as far as everybody meeting in the middle and dapping up. If Jayden Daniels goes for like a little dap, but like, you know, keep space in between whoever he's dapping up with, then maybe it is pretty bad. But then I saw that man go for the dap bear hug for Bryce Young, like held him tight and everything like that. His ribs just can't, I mean, I said immediately then, his ribs can't be too far off if you're out there hugging Bryce Young like that. So I don't know why he went from, or how he went from so much pain to where he couldn't even throw the ball to now he's out here dapping people up and giving them bear hugs. I don't know what that transition was. I don't know how his injury situation, his pain tolerance increased that much in that small amount of time, just in a matter of a couple of hours. But either way, man, shouts out to Jayden Daniels. Apparently he should be good to go based off of what we saw just last night alone and from those updates. And then you even have Pro Football Talk via CBS. They talked about his injury, and somebody brought up the question from a scale of 1 to 10, what is your level of concern? They said a 3 or a 4. Now, I don't know what information they received, but that was the analysis they gave after the game. And then this morning, this is what y'all have been waiting for. But before we even get to the actual injury diagnosis from Jordan Schultz, David Aldridge said the Commanders won big Sunday over the hapless Panthers, but they did one better off the field as the organization quickly and correctly kept the injured Jayden Daniels on the sideline after he suffered a rib injury. The quote from the article that David Aldridge wrote for The Athletic says, quote, before Washington's next offensive possession, Daniels went into the blue medical tent. Then, after Emmanuel Forbes' interception late in the first quarter, Daniels was ready to go back into the game. He'd come out of the tent and got his helmet. He started to run back onto the field, and then he was stopped by the Washington Commanders coaching staff. He returned to the bench, he slammed his helmet, and then he was escorted off the field and into Washington's locker room, unquote. That's very interesting background information. See, I thought when he slammed his helmet, it was like, God, man, this injury is worse than I thought. You know, typically people slam their helmets after like a torn ACL and things like that when they pretty much know their season is done. I really messed up here. And so I thought it was something like that, where it was indicative of the fact that Jayden Daniels has a pretty extensive injury that may hold him out for a while. So that was like the worst sign to me. Even worse than the actual pain that you could tell he was feeling from him wincing with his face and everything like that. The slamming of the helmet was the one that made me think, oh Lord, this is terrible. Apparently, according to David Aldridge and his sources, that slamming of the helmet was more so out of anger that they weren't letting him go back out there on the field, even though he felt like he was good to go. So hearing that Jayden Daniels was able to and wanted to go back out there on that field is big time news for us, because it sounds like that should be a great sign that he can play against the Bears. I just thought it was really interesting, though, that the Commanders team, we were winning by so much. The coaching staff was like, man, we don't even need you to go out there, man. Just take a week to heal, dog. We don't even need you. I think at a certain point when he went to the locker room, I think it was like 20-0 or something. By halftime, it was 27-0. We don't need you, man. We don't. Marcus Mariota, after a couple of possessions, finally turned into the Heisman winner, number 2 overall draft pick that he is. And then we have the real Jordan Schultz update this morning. Now, granted, I don't exactly know how trustworthy this source is from him, but apparently Commanders rookie quarterback sensation Jayden Daniels is undergoing tests today to determine the severity of his rib injury per sources. Initial tests on Sunday showed no fractures, but further tests today and possibly in the coming days will provide more clarity. And then shouts out to Santana Podcast, because I completely agree. Thank goodness for this. Not a doctor. It seems like the hope is that it's just a bruise to the bone rather than an actual cartilage issue. It's unfortunate that he got tackled in an awkward way, but it's just part of the game. I don't like people blaming Cliff Kingsbury for that, because quarterbacks get hurt all of the time from in the pocket as well, and that was such a random, awkward, unlucky tackle. I mean, for him to get grabbed from behind like that and then it hurt his rib, I'm still confused as to how that happened. That's a really, really weird situation. But regardless, this is very positive news from Jordan Schultz. Again, Again, I don't exactly know what his sources are, but apparently from what he's hearing is that no fractures right now for the rib injury from initial test. That's big time. Also, shouts out to @WeWantDallas, because he said, for reference, some recent quarterbacks with rib injuries. You had 2021 Tua Tagovailoa, fractured ribs, missed 3 games. 2022 Justin Herbert, torn rib cartilage, no fracture, 0 games missed. 2023 Derek Carr, fractured ribs, 0 games missed. So theoretically, he should be fine. Thank you for @WeWantDallas for that update, because that definitely puts my mind at ease, and I'm pretty sure it puts a lot of y'all's minds at ease as well. Also, for those of y'all that really want Jayden Daniels to still win Offensive Rookie of the Year, Rio Robinson brings up a great point. He says CJ Stroud missed 2 games last year and still won 10 games and was still Rookie of the Year. So everybody just relax. It's not that bad. And then, of course, we're really happy about Jayden Daniels, but we also have other injuries, because just to keep your mind open, to make sure that you're aware and you're watching out for this later on when we get the Jayden Daniels injury official update from Dan Quinn later on today. Remember that Brandon Coleman also left the game with a concussion injury, and we are too deep at left tackle, so thank goodness when in doubt, Cornelius Lucas can start against the Bears, but I prefer Brandon Coleman starting. Hopefully we get some positive news there, because so far we haven't gotten any news from Brandon Coleman. The Jayden Daniels news overshadowed everything. Every reporter that can get to the Commanders inside information from the outside, all that they're asking is Jayden Daniels. That's it. No further questions after that. Nobody's asking about Brandon Coleman. Speaking of Brandon Coleman, there are other players that got hurt too as well. De'Ami Brown was walking with a limp at a certain point in the game. Center Tyler Biadasz was holding his hand at a certain point in the game. I'm not exactly sure if they ever came out of the game due to their injuries, but hey man, those are other banged up players, I want to remind you. And then also, positive injury update, Dante Fowler said that not playing in the preseason and dealing with a rib injury slowed him down the start of the year. That's why he got off to a slow start. He said now he's feeling great, and he's been really good the last 2 weeks. And you can tell by the fact that he has more sacks alone this season than Chase Young and Montez Sweat combined. I'm going to leave you with that before we get up out of here. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Of course, stay tuned, because I will have y'all updated on every Jayden Daniels injury update that we get throughout the day, throughout the week. I have y'all every single time. If I gotta, I typically make 30-minute plus videos, but if I gotta just get up and do a quick little 10-minute video like this one, I will, because I'm gonna have y'all updated on Jayden Daniels injury and how, positive news especially and things like that. But if for any reason, crazy reason, knock on wood, there's any negative news, I will have y'all instantly on that. So I really appreciate you. If you made it this far in this video, thank you, appreciate you. Make sure you definitely leave a like on the way out, and let me know in the comment section how you feel about this entire situation, and of course let me know how you feel about the other Commanders injuries as well. And let's go ahead and get up out of here. I really appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.